Welcome to part one in a 4-part series on utilising Canva sheets. Most people know Canva for its beautiful designs, its fantastic templates, and brand control. But what a lot of people aren't aware of is that Canva Sheets is now built in and allows you to do things like content planning, organisation, brand consistency, right across the whole product. In part one, we're going just to be taking you through a really simple introduction of the basic tools. And then as we progress, we'll have a look at using it for bulk creation, integrating it with Magic Studio, and getting it to pretty much do a lot of the tasks that you're currently having to do manually. To start a new Canva sheet, just on the home page of Canva at the moment, we can either search or we have the create new sheet option here. We can also utilize the little plus sign up the top there. Well, I'm just going to use the create new, and I am using the Canva app today. I do find that to be a much better option than using the web. So as with all Canva, when we open up, we do get given a ton of templates that have been created. Now, because this is a fairly new feature, this is actually being added to pretty consistently at the moment. So really spend your time, have a great look through these templates because they're going to save you a lot of time. If you have a look over here on the right, I'm just going to hide that one. If you have a look over here, we can see this is a spreadsheet for all intents and purposes. We have columns, we have rows, we have cells. We can select everything by clicking the corner. And we do actually even have a function bar that we'll have a quick look at a little bit later on as well. With each sheet, we have the option to add a whole range of different content. We can put in text, numbers, dates, drop-down lists, images, links, all of those different things are going to be included in our spreadsheet. If we wanted to type, I'm just going to do a social media calendar today, we just type in and we can do things like make that column a little bit wider. We could make that row a little bit taller if we wanted. And we can even do really simple things like changing our font size. We can change our color. Pretty much anything we can do in the design factor, we can pretty much do here as well. Because I'm going to create a social media calendar, I want some headings here to organize my information. Now, I love spreadsheets, and I'm going to stick to a lot of the rules that I like to share in terms of content layout and little things like not having blank rows and making sure that you've got things really well labeled. They apply no matter what system you're actually using. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I've got my headings across here. I'm just going to grab that row. I'm going to copy, come across, and just paste that content in. So you can copy and paste from one to the other really easily. If I wanted to select all of my headings here because I want them all to look the same, I just held down my first one, scrolled along and shift clicked my last cell. I can do things like change the background color. I can just make this font a little bit bigger. I can change my text color, might make that bold. And I've now got my headings looking the way that I want them to look. Now continuing with the copy and paste, I'm just going to paste my post titles in here now that I've copied. And you can see straight away that we've got some cutoff happening here. So we can do a couple of things. We can make that column wide, and that works really well if there's only a little bit of information overflowing. But we also have just up here on the toolbar, we do have a text wrapping feature, and that's fantastic because what that will actually do is it will just utilize more than one line within that cell, and that comes in handy when we get to our captions as well. One of the best features of a lot of spreadsheets is the ability to create what we call drop-down lists. And for the platform column, this would be a great example of utilizing this. So I've got an actions button up here on my toolbar. I'm just going to pop this little guy out of the way again. If I click on actions, you'll see a whole range of different things here. We're not going to cover all of these today, but all the different things that we can insert. So if I choose the drop down feature, you can see that there are some preset drop downs there. I'm going to create a drop down. Now, when you create these little guys, they're very basic. They've got a grey background. They've just option 1, option 2, option 3. So we're going to just click on that and we're going to make our changes here. So I'm going to use my little edit button and I'm going to just quickly list the platforms. Let's come in here again. Whoops. And we're going to do just Facebook. And just for the sake of time, I'm not going to make you watch me do all of these. Okay, so we can change their names. We can also change their coloring. So we can come through and obviously, you know, a nice pink for Instagram. We can go a nice, you know, good old deep blue for Facebook. And we'll go, oops, I say oops too much. A lovely little sapphire, here we go, for LinkedIn there as well. So when we click on these little drop downs, we can actually select the color that we actually want to use. Now I can copy that and I can paste those. Or I can actually, if I have my drop down in the top cell, I can actually just click on that little corner, drag that down as many cells as I need it, and it will fill or replicate. Then I can just jump into each one and you can very quickly see how much faster it is to actually pop that content in. Now I actually go one step further here. What I can actually do, and what I do is I actually have some reusable ones. So my drop down for the content type is actually quite big. So I'm just going to copy that cell that includes the drop down. I'm going to come across here and I'm going to paste that one in, fill that one out. And this is actually quite a long one. So if I wanted a carousel there, I can pop an image. I can do that one as a reel. And when I say this is long, I've basically listed all the different types of content that you can actually think about using across your different social media platforms that you are actually active on at the moment. So you can see there lots of different choices, and I've just thrown some emojis in there just to be cute. Other content that we can add just really quickly is we can pop dates in. So under actions again, we can choose a little date dropper, and that lets us utilize things like what day we would like things to be scheduled. We can also add graphics in, and this is fantastic because this has been a feature missing quite a lot across programs, is the ability to put, you know, nice clear graphics in, and I can just pop him in there. I'm just going to pop you in there. Some I created earlier. And these are going to be really useful later on when we get to our bulk create feature. And I will fill this out a little bit more for you there. Other things that we can put in here are links. So media link could be a link through to the content you've created. You can actually link back to the post you created. So this is really good for tracking later on when you potentially want to add more columns in. Whoops, talking about maybe statistics or any insights that you've gotten. You could potentially start to, fill out your table there and go back to that post as many times as you need just by linking in. So that's a really good best practice kind of thing to do there. You can also assign to different people. So if you are part of a team, you can assign different information. Now, just a nice little quick aside, I just popped insights there and it now looks different to that. Really great feature up in the toolbar of Canva is the copy style feature. We can just right click and choose copy style, and that way you can get things to look exactly the same really quickly. One of the coolest features that exists in the Canva Sheets universe is the ability to direct link to all of your other Canva media files. So by clicking in the cell, going up to actions, you can come down to Canva design, and it will actually list all of the designs you've been working on recently. And I'm just going to pick one to save the scroll, but we can pop that in and it will actually pop the link in. You can actually see there it's popped in, and I can actually click on that and launch the editing process directly from my sheet, which is fantastic. So really great feature and a really fantastic way to keep all of your assets together. Last but not least for this section, we've covered a lot of the different features, is the ability to add multiple sheets within your document. So you can see down here, I've actually got this little feature here that turned on, which is the pages feature. And if I turn him off, you'll see that I just have this sort of never-ending scroll. If I click on pages, it actually brings up little thumbnails down the bottom, a little bit like you were editing a video or an animation. And we can click on that, add in a second sheet, a third sheet. We can name them, duplicate them, do all sorts of things. So I might have here, I might have an asset sheet, for example, which is separate from my calendar. This one here, I could potentially just have brainstorming or ideas, something along those lines. So lots of different ways. If you find them getting in your way, just click on that. It'll tell you how many pages you've got, what page you're on, and you can jump around. If I want to go to page 1, for example, that was the first one that I started on. So a little bit of basics today just to cover what you could be potentially using Canva Sheets for. In the next session, we are going to be delving a little bit deeper into how to use images, links, and then scheduling your content utilizing the built-in Canva scheduler.